On today's show, the Houston Rockets get their 6th straight win against the defending champion Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic had a 30-20-10 game, and the Rockets still walked away with the dub. Alperen Sengun was battling Jokic all night long, and then the Rockets unleashed their secret weapon, Jeff Green, to be able to close this one out in the fourth quarter. It's all coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start.
Throw it up to Jalen Green.
Sengun here in the short row. Oh, my, that's the no-look.
Jabari for three and the win. Yeah!
Look at Tari, Eason.
Here comes Tari.
No!
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal.
The Houston Rockets select Thompson and Cam Whitmore.
One thing I have never done is not made the playoffs, and so we want to take that step here as well.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Houston Rockets may never lose again. They pick up their 6th straight dub, 107-104 against the Denver Nuggets, the reigning NBA champions. What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Mondays. Be sure to follow along on Twitter at JT Gatlin, and the show, of course, at Locked On Rockets, free and available wherever you listen to your podcasts, including YouTube, where I want to know your thoughts in the YouTube comments. Forget being a play-in team. Is this Houston Rockets just a straight-up playoff team? Let me know in the YouTube comments. Now, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym. Thank you for being an everydayer. Thank you for making the show part of your day every single day. Joining us now to talk about the Houston Rockets' 6th straight victory, their 107-104 win against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, is none other than your weekly co-host, NBA draft enthusiast Madison Moore. You can track down on Twitter at MadmanLeaks. And Madison, what an insane game. What an insane way to cap off this Rockets homestand, where that first game in the homestand, the loss at home to the Warriors, feels like it was so long ago. It almost feels like a completely different team since that point. They've won now 6 straight games, and in this most recent one, beating the defending world champion Denver Nuggets. We were talking about this before we hit the record button, but yeah, they're without Jamal Murray, but this is still the Denver Nuggets, and they won. They held on, and they survived a 30-point triple-double, a 30-20-10 game from Nikola Jokic, and this Rockets team somehow managed to survive and come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, a lot's been made of the injury problems that the teams that we've beaten have had, but you can only play the teams in front of them, and the Rockets have absolutely did what they were supposed to do with those types of teams. And I don't care what anybody says, that is a championship team that knows how to play. Hurt knows how to play with, when they're down, and they have championship poise. It is incredibly impressive that we could beat this team tonight in the way that we did it defensively, with a lot of our guys not really having it going offensively tonight. Just goes to show how much this team has improved and how good they really are.
Jalen Green, just 9 points on 1 of 13 shooting. 1 of 13. He had one bucket all night long. Jabari Smith Jr., 8 points on 4 of 7. Dillon Brooks, only 10 points in this one. This was a game where offensively so many guys did not have it going, and yet they found a way to win through their defense. And honestly, you look at Jokic, you look at, the 36 points, 21 rebounds, 11 assists. Even Fred VanVleet was cracking up post-game when he was trying to give Alp some props for the way that he was guarding Jokic. And he starts giving Alp defensive props, and then he looks down and he starts laughing to himself because Jokic still managed to put up monster numbers. But honestly, the way those two were dueling all night, it really never felt like Jokic was getting anything easy. And I think Ime was, very vocal about this postgame and how they wanted to make Jokic beat them. And this kind of tracked with, I talked about this in Rockets Watch Sunday afternoon before going into the game, a little bit of a preview thing over there. And I said, I feel like to to beat the Nuggets, you have to make Jokic be the one to beat you because he wants to get other guys involved. He wants to get other guys going so that those guys can kind of carry the show a little bit when he hits the bench. In this game, he still had the 11 assists, but it never really felt like many other guys. And Michael Porter Jr. a little bit, but it didn't really feel like anybody else had it going for the Nuggets. And the Rockets did what they were supposed to do in winning the non-Jokic minutes when he was on the bench. The Nuggets were actually scoreless the first stretch where Jokic hit the bench, where they didn't score anything. The Rockets made a pretty significant run during that first stretch where he was getting a breather. And then in that second stretch, they only scored 10 points. The Rockets came away 26-10 in the non-Jokic minutes, plus 16 when he was on the bench. Jokic was a plus 12 in this game in a 3-point loss. That tells you all you need to know about how bad the Denver Nuggets bench was, or just the second unit when Jokic wasn't out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can firmly credit this win to the Coach Udoka game plan tonight. You could tell, as much as this team scrambles and helps on bigs, they did not do that tonight. They did not help on Jokic in the way that you think what you would typically think for a superstar guy, and they did that purposely. They talked about it in the they referred to it in the post game. I remember Fred VanVleet saying we kind of left him on a Sengun on an island, and I think Sengun was definitely our best option at holding Jokic. He was strong down low. He didn't let himself get bullied, and Jokic had to finish a lot of shots tough over his outstretched arms, and that's all you can ask. They weren't going to help because they didn't want Jokic to get everyone involved. That game plan didn't kind of go as well in the first quarter. The first quarter we were getting beat with some backdoors a bit, but they got that all cleaned up for the second half, and then we got to see, hey, Jokic, you're going to get your points, right? You got most of your assists in the first half, but that game plan actually was a very good game plan that worked because it kept the rest of the team out of rhythm, and it made Jokic work really, really hard. And as well as Sengun being so good offensively, Jokic had to play defense as well. So we really tired him out. I felt like he was getting bogged down throughout the entire game, and I love the game plan that we executed defensively tonight.
And it kind of felt like the Rockets were going to try to run away with this game there when they really started lighting up the scoreboard there in the fourth quarter. In fact, over the course of the game, the Rockets only hit 10 threes. They were 10 of 32 on the evening. They hit 5 of those in the fourth quarter. They caught fire in a big way. Jeff Green hit a couple. Tari Eason had a couple big threes. Fred VanVleet had one in there. But it really felt like, one of those Uncle Jeff threes felt like kind of the dagger at one point. And then Reggie Jackson was just like, we're not losing this game, and tried to take over down the stretch, and he really pulled them back into this one. Hit some big shots down the stretch. Then Jokic did a couple Jokic things, and it very much looked like for a split second there, after the Rockets went up like 9 with a few minutes remaining, that somehow the Nuggets were going to pull off a miraculous comeback. And credit to the Rockets, credit to Fred VanVleet, came in, hit the clutch free throws to put the Rockets ahead by 3. Then the Nuggets weren't able to make anything materialize offensively, and the Rockets were able to run away with this one. But I mean, a really impressive kind of, I keep catching myself saying each of the most previous wins was like really impressive, really resilient, all this, but to beat the defending champions the way that they did in this game, with so many guys struggling to actually score the basketball, they really did win this one with their defense. They hunkered down there in that fourth quarter. You can go look at the numbers in the fourth quarter. I mean, MPJ was 2 of 4. Aaron Gordon hit 1 shot. Jokic was only 2 of 5 in that quarter. And then Reggie Jackson was 4 of 6, but it was kind of because he turned it on a little bit late there. So holding him to 45% shooting across the entire fourth quarter, you got to be really encouraged by the performance that we saw from the Rockets. And it really feels like, Madison, something special is happening here with this Rockets team.
Yeah, man. It has Ime Udoka's fingerprints all over it. The way this team, everyone on this team contributes. Everyone contributes to winning in a real way on this team. I mean, we talk about how Jeff Green just had an excellent game and earned, and especially defensively as well, and earned those minutes down the stretch for the second game in a row. over Jabari Smith. But Jabari Smith's unselfishness to, there's no ego there. That's what the team needs. When then it turned, like you can see Udoka turning around and doing it on the last play of the game where he subs Jalen Green out and put Jae'Sean Tate in, who gets the game sealing steal, right? And it's just that sacrifice. What's our best option here in this moment? What the team needs in this moment, and the unselfishness from this team, especially with the reputation we've had over the past years. There's this real unselfishness about this team that allows them to be greater than individual parts. The sum allows them to be greater than their individual parts, and that just has Ime Udoka's fingerprints all over it.
Absolutely. I mean, and yeah, credit to Jae'Sean Tate for the game sealing steal there on the very final possession. A lot of y'all wanted that man traded. I'm not going to let people forget this, man. I've been on Jae'Sean Tate Island. Me, Big O, and a couple other Rockets fans have been holding out stock on Jae'Sean Tate Island. I said before the season we were headed for a Jae'Sean Tate renaissance, and oh boy, am I going to start running some victory laps on Jae'Sean Tate here soon, because he has been playing out of his mind for this Rockets team. Coming up, we got so much more to get into from this game. Alperen Sengun, your Locked On Rockets player of the game, dueling Nikola Jokic all night long, what we saw out of Alp. Jeff Green, the secret weapon against this Denver Nuggets team, calling out all their plays late in this one. And so much more to break down from this one. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. It's so simple to play. You can make your selections in less than 60 seconds, and they've got quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types, which is what makes PrizePicks the #1 DFS app on the market. And right now, with the basketball season finally back in action, you can pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, you can do LeBron James plus Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made plus reception. So if you've been considering getting into daily fantasy sports, you've got to check out PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget code LockedOnNBA, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball, breaking down your Rockets 107-104 win against the Denver Nuggets, their 6th straight win, undefeated in the month of November. 6-1 on this homestand, lost the first one against the Warriors, but in this game, and as he has been for much of this season, Alp was a driving force. He was a consistent factor in this game. He wasn't exactly going, look, we'll be completely honest, right? Nikola Jokic is a class above Alperen Sengun. There's no denying that. He's a 2-time, arguably should have been a 3-time MVP, defending reigning champion of, NBA, all of that, right? But I think Alp played him about as well as you could play him, almost to the point where Madison, in that third quarter, I kind of thought Jokic was taking it a bit personal, where like Alp would score a bucket and Jokic would like come back down, almost like okay, you're going to score on me, bet I'm going to take it right back at you. Like it kind of felt like they went into their own little duel there in that third quarter where they were just going back and forth. And there was some really impressive basketball watching those two guys just go at each other like that.
Yeah, man. You could kind of visibly see some frustration with Jokic throughout the game, whether it be how he was being guarded and how the officials were calling the game, but just Alperen making everything tough on Jokic. Every single thing that he got today was tough. It was really just about Alp being strong and immovable in the low post, I thought. And we really left him on the island. He did not have much help at all. And I thought he was excellent today, as he's been all season. And that's what I think the main thing that I've learned so far throughout these, is it 8 games?
9 games now, 6
9 games. Yes. So 9 games is every day, and Fred's talked about there, there's going to be somebody. It's going to be someone news day. Everybody shares the workload. It could be Jalen tomorrow, or Jabari, or Dillon, or Fred VanVleet, and we've kind of seen that spread around. But there's been one consistent factor throughout these 9 games, and that's been Alperen Sengun. Alperen Sengun's consistency has not yet wavered. We know we can depend on his 19, 8, and 6 every night. And that is probably the most consistent thing that I can expect from this team so far, even more so than our vets like Fred VanVleet and Dillon Brooks, right? And I just think the way he's really separating himself right now among our young guys. Of course, everybody has opportunity to get better over the course of years, but I think the level of consistency that we're seeing from Alperen Sengun, that's what we're going to be looking for the rest of our young guys when they come into their own. And it just seems that Alperen Sengun is there already.
And you wouldn't even in a matchup like this, right? A marquee matchup where you're going up against, a guy that he has proclaimed has been his idol in the NBA before. Alp gets up for these matches against Jokic, and in this one, 23 points on 9 of 18 shooting. Did miss his 2 3-point attempts. He kind of has this thing where he's still kind of battling, I think, the mental thing, kind of hesitating on some of those threes, unfortunately. But it was 5 of 6 at the free throw line. Had 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and 2 blocks. One of them, he blocked Jokic real early on in this game. I'm talking, that was a big wind-up block on Jokic, and then his other one, oh my God, Madison, the chase down block on Colin Gillespie in transition. I think Dillon Brooks turned the ball over on the offensive end, and then Alp was kind of jogging back in transition where you thought he was just going to let the layup go, but he actually he kind of let off the gas for a second, timed it perfectly, and then elevated and swatted the crap out of that layup from Gillespie. I mean, I don't think he thought it was coming. I'm pretty sure Gillespie thought he had a wide open layup, and then Alp out of nowhere just sent it flying. Where's the
Yeah, he's really quick off his feet, especially for his size.
There we go. I had to play me one of those. Just
Alperen Sengun.
little Alp action on the soundboard, deservedly so after this game.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, Alp is kind of quick off his feet. He kind of almost lulls you to sleep defensively. You don't think he's gonna have that quickness, but he has a real knack for getting block shots. And I think it's because he's a quick leaper, not a very high leaper, but a quick one. Just get it out of the way. Just call him sneaky athletic and let's be done with it. Okay, come on, No, he is. I will admit that Alperen Sengun is sneaky athletic. We asked, what's the guy from the Spurs, Collins, you know what I'm talking about?
Collins, yeah.
Zach Collins, yeah. Ask him. He'll tell you Alp is sneaky athletic.
That's not even sneaky athleticism. That's aggressive athleticism when you see him trying to dunk all over Zach Collins. No, look, I mean this duel between Alp and Jokic, you kind of saw exactly what Rockets fans have been wanting for years. And even Jokic last year was incredibly complimentary of Alp after the back-to-back games that the Rockets played in Denver. Basically went so far as to say, I think they should play through him more. And guess what? Nikola Jokic shared a similar sentiment after this game, talking about Alperen Sengun's play in this one. Nikola Jokic said, I think it's a good thing that they are playing a little bit more through him. I think that is going to benefit the whole organization. He is a guy who is not selfish. He wants to play for the team, and he wants to pass. The whole team is going to move when the ball is in his hands. He played really good today. 2-time MVP knows ball, Madison.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's been kind of screaming for this. It's kind of a no-brainer now. And the consistency of his play at this moment is just what is so impressive to me, that we're going to be able to rely on him with its 19, 8, and 6. We're going to be able to rely on that every night from Alperen Sengun, and that's what you want to see out of your young stars.
Your Locked On Rockets player of the game, who had to deal with a lot with Nikola Jokic, but put up his own very impressive stat line, during his chances offensively, and again had that little kind of back and forth, bit of a duel there in the third quarter, kind of really through the whole game between him and Jokic. The other guy here, though, that deserves massive props is the Houston Rockets' secret weapon, the kryptonite for the Denver Nuggets, apparently, and that is Jeff Green, who I asked before the game. I asked emails like, hey, so did Jeff get a chance to, throw on the coach's hat, going into this matchup and kind of run through film and walk you guys through? And he said, yep, Jeff, he's given us a lot of insight and a lot of detail on how they do things and, walked us through certain things at practice. And then even post game, when I asked Fred about the importance of having Jeff Green out there. He said that, he was calling out all the Nuggets plays late in the game, where he was calling out their sets. He was calling out exactly where they were going to be, how to switch certain actions, and having a guy out there that is just what Jeff brings to the table as a veteran, just at what he brings as a player, but then also having a guy who knows the inner workings of how the Nuggets play. That is such a benefit to have out there, to have a guy who knows all the sets, who knows what to call out, and to blow up every single one of their actions down the line. I mean, he really is the secret weapon that the Rockets, unloaded in this game.
Yeah, for sure, man. Calling out the plays is good. And you can kind of see that the team was prepared. Like, the team knew what was coming. They had their game plan down to a T, and I'm sure Jeff Green had a lot to do with that. I mean, especially because Denver is one of those teams that are young teams, and especially as the Rockets, one of those ball movement teams that move a lot off ball, that the young Rockets really, really struggle with. That's why they struggle with the Spurs too, even though the Spurs, haven't been that great of a team. The Rockets have struggled with them because they have such good off ball movement. But you can really see that the Rockets were prepared for this off ball movement. There were some slight hiccups in the first quarter, but they got that tightened up. And I thought overall, this team's defensive effort, attention to detail, switching off ball, it's really come together. And as much struggles as Jalen Green had tonight offensively, I thought he made strides in the other parts of his game. He still has to come around with his finishing at the basket, but 8 rebounds today. Jalen's emerging as one of the Rockets' best rebounders this season. And the 5 assists with some plays made down the stretch as well. I just want to give him some love on that. And more importantly, I've been watching Jalen for his improvement in his defense, and there's noticeably less mistakes Jalen is making on that side of the floor. And I thought today he was really, really solid defensively as well, not hurting the team there.
Definitely credit to Jalen Green for this game, because I know a lot of people are going to look at the 1 of 13, only 9 points. But again, you got to pay attention. He got the 8 rebounds. He had the 5 assists. He was a big part of their early offense in the first quarter. He had 4 assists there, and I believe no turnovers for the entire game. So a solid all-around game. It's one of those where he needs to be able to make shots for sure. But this is a game where Jalen still found a way to be impactful in other ways besides just scoring the basketball, because there's going to be nights where he can't throw a rock into the ocean, right? And the fact that now he's not just a one-dimensional, if he's not scoring, then he's not providing you anything. No, now he's rebounding, now he's facilitating, now he's playing defense. These are the things that you can do even when your shot isn't falling, finding ways to make an impact in the game. Even Jabari Smith Jr. to a lesser degree in this one. He was a guy that didn't really have much going offensively. Even there were a couple points where I think Ime tried to call an ATO for Jabari at one point to get him the ball at the elbow and try to let him elevate over the top of the defense. Fred tried to give him the ball on a transition play at one point to let him kind of step into a 3-pointer, and he caught the ball a little outside of his range and had to take a stutter step and a dribble into the 3, and it kind of messed up his rhythm. But they were trying at points to try and get him going. He just didn't have it. And yet he still found a way to be impactful. He got the 7 rebounds. He had a blocked shot in there. He had those couple offensive putbacks where he got big, got the offensive board, and then was able to go back up and lay it in, just those little tip-ins. So, that's the way for Jabari to find ways to involve himself in these kinds of games, even when he doesn't have it going offensively. But coming up, I want to get into some final thoughts from this one. More thoughts on the Houston Rockets defense, as well as Tari Eason's play off the bench, the 2 big threes that he hit, Dillon Brooks clamping up Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon at various points in this game, and just general final thoughts from this one. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. We spend a lot of time talking together. We get fired up on wins and losses, who's starting and who's sitting, how impressive the Houston Rockets win is against the Denver Nuggets, and I'm thankful for that connection. I appreciate it. And today, we're going to get a little bit more personal, because we just learned that you can get a 1-year supply of ED medications through Jace Medical. And do you know what that means? It means you can bring on that extended travel trip, whether it's the next natural disaster or supply chain issue. You're going to be covered. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can refill your generics for Cialis, Viagra, or any other daily medication that you might require that Jace Medical can offer. And this is only possible because of our friends over at Jace Medical. So go online right now to jacemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply of your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. If you or someone you love could get some peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily medication, go to jacemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off of your purchase. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. Now, I completely dropped the ball on the tease coming into this segment because the one guy that we've got to spend some time talking about helping lead the charge for this Houston Rockets team and the high point man in this game, Fred VanVleet. I know we got to him here in the third segment, but Fred has been, he's had a couple up and down games for the Rockets, but for the most part, he has been a very consistent force for this Rockets team. And you see the way that he has kind of been there and done that. And you see how important that mentality is, where he's not rushed. He's not panicking in those moments at the end of games. He's ready for those moments. He's lived through them. He's been through them. And he's made more than enough mistakes in his career to understand what not to do in those moments at the end of games. And he was really, really solid in this one. 26 points on 9 of 21 shooting, 3 of 9 from the three-point line, 5 of 7 at the free throw line, hit the 2 free throws late to put this game out of reach for the Denver Nuggets. Only 2 rebounds and 4 assists, but he was the guy. And it was interesting watching him try to navigate what the Nuggets were doing defensively, because he talked about this post game, the fact that they basically tried to take away that pocket pass to Alperen Sengun, which is what the Rockets have been using, that 2-man game between Fred and Alpi to carve up other teams. And they had to find different ways to be able to move the basketball around, which is why his assist numbers were a little bit lower in this one. And the Rockets had to find different ways to get themselves going offensively.
Yeah, I mean, Fred VanVleet so far has just been everything that we would hope when it comes to poise and leadership for this team. Down the stretch, I feel like Fred VanVleet kind of sensed that guys didn't really have it going. The way they were guarding LP down the stretch for guarding that pocket pass, I thought he kind of sensed what was going on and really attacked going downhill and kicking in that way to shooters like Jeff Green, as well as he finished very well at the rim tonight. I thought this was one of his better games when finishing at the rim, some and one layups. And overall, when the team needed him most, to extend the lead in crucial times, in momentum switch plays, Fred VanVleet answered the call and hit some big threes to really extend the lead for the Rockets. Got it all the way up to 10. I really credit Fred for a lot of that. I know Jalen had some assists in that after that lead was created, but Fred was the guy that really extended it and kind of controlled the game, which allowed for other guys to kind of play more comfortable throughout and not be so tense. His recognition of what this team needs in certain moments has really just been amazing. And that's all we really could ask for, especially when we're dealing with young players who are going to have up and down nights. They're not going to be as consistent, right? And his ability to feel when he's needed in those moments to give what they can't at the moment right now, that has just been very, very special. It's really the perfect pickup for this young Rockets team. I mean, him down the stretch in this fourth quarter, I thought he was the biggest impact player in the fourth quarter, just like he was last game in New Orleans.
No, I mean, I couldn't agree more. It goes beyond just what you're looking at on the box score. It's just that level at which you feel like a sense of safety when he's running the show, right? When he's out there, he's got the ball in his hands. I kind of have a level of safety that I haven't really felt since like Chris Paul was on this Rockets team, where like you just know Chris Paul's gonna make a good read, the right call, safe with the ball in his hands, all that stuff. And I feel that same way about Fred. In fact, again, they took away the pocket pass, so he got really creative in some of the ways that he was creating offense in this game, whether it was driving all the way into the defense, which again, they were taking away the pocket pass, which opened up some driving lanes for him. You highlighted the fact already that, he finished a little bit better at the rim in this game, some of those and one finishes. But even like he had the moments where he would drive all the way in and then hit like the cross court bounce pass to the opposite corner to try and break get the defense scrambling that way, or, driving all the way in and then, waiting to see that second body. And then he'd kind of have to contort himself and get that kick out pass to the open three. But even though that pocket pass wasn't there and they weren't able to get to some of their bread and butter actions with Alperen Sengun kind of carving up the defense from the middle of the floor like they have against some of these previous teams, he did a really good job slowing things down and making sure that they got high quality looks each time down.
Yeah, man, it's been great to see. And one of the things that I like about this is the young guys still have to learn how to finish games. And by watching Fred, that allows them to understand what they need to do and what the team needs. But also, Fred pushing that lead to 10 allowed the team to play a couple plays through Jalen in high pressure situations, which he made some great reads down the stretch. But because we now had that blanket, we can say, hey, let's give Jalen some of this opportunity to grow in these moments. And I thought Jalen played well and he made some good decisions. The shot just wasn't falling. But I like that. That is the type of teaching, that's the type of growth and experience that these young guys need.
And again, big time credit. I know we gave Jae'Sean Tate credit earlier for the game sealing steal. He had 3 steals on the night in addition to 6 rebounds, only 3 points. He did he hit a free throw, had a bucket at one point. Tari Eason had the couple big threes late as well as some solid defensive plays. Just kind of an all around night for Tari. 8 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Jeff Green was the high point man off the bench. The 15 points, obviously closing out the game, kind of quarterbacking the defense, blowing up all the Nuggets sets. And then a little shout out to Aaron Holiday as well, who just continues to be that nice kind of consistent force. You'd like to see him be a little bit more efficient with his shot, maybe a little too trigger happy in this one. Only 2 of 8 shooting, 1 of 5 from long distance, but he had a couple rebounds, he had a couple assists, and even when the Rockets run Fred and Aaron Holiday, I guess, I don't know, we call them the small towers lineup, whatever you want to call them. They don't feel like a small team out there because both of those guys play a lot bigger, especially defensively, than their actual listed height. So it didn't really feel like they gave up, any size when those guys were out there. Defensively, they're still really impressive, getting after it, guarding guys. The point of attack defense is really good when those 2 guys are out there specifically. And then as far as, the one significant downside I want to highlight from this game is Jock Landale, man. It's been really disappointing so far to this point. He has not been as advertised. And again, a big part of it might still be kind of maybe some remnants from that ankle injury. Might not be 100% yet, but he played 2 minutes and he was a -4 in his 2 minutes, only recorded the 1 rebound. If you can't play him in a matchup where you need some size against Nikola Jokic, then when can you play him at this point?
And that's when he's been getting time, is when he needs some size out there off the bench. And they played him against Jokic, and it's a tall task to guard Nikola Jokic. But I thought some of the plays that Jokic made were it was just too easy. It wasn't enough resistance there from Big Jock Landale. So hopefully he can get healthy, and hopefully, in a month or 2, he might be able to turn this slow start around. But right now, I think Jeff Green deserves those minutes. I think he's playing versatile as a stretch wing that can guard multiple positions. But I think he's also been tough as a rebounder, and he's also given us a bit of rim protection and contesting at the rim. So I think, with Jock's play right now, Jeff Green probably deserves those minutes right now, and I think Udoka will go to him from here on out.
And I got the chance to ask Ime about this post game because I don't want anybody to walk away from this game or for these past couple games to think negatively or think less about Jabari Smith Jr. It just so happens that, Jeff Green was the right guy to close this game with. And there might be games down the line where maybe Jalen is the one sitting out, or maybe Alp's the one sitting out somewhere down the line if it just makes sense from a defensive perspective. But you pointed this out earlier, right? Jabari's not over there. He's not moping. He's not hanging his head. He was still in there for the final defensive play of the game because Ime knows what he has in those guys. It's just, there's almost a level of comfortability in having the, pardon me, the 3 vets out there with Jalen and with Alp, because that's kind of, it almost feels like that's Ime's comfort lineup to close some of these games. Now that might change a little bit further down the line, and Ime even highlighted the fact Jabari's going to have plenty of opportunities down the line to close out these games. It's not about what he isn't doing or what he's incapable of doing. It's just about, matchups, and it's about what Jeff brings to the table or brought to the table against the Pelicans on Friday, against this Nuggets team Sunday night. So I don't want anybody to get, super down on Jabari or, oh my God, he's not closing out games. Ime hates him or any of that stuff. That's not the case whatsoever. Ime is very much the type of coach that's going to push the right buttons at the right time. And in this game, Jeff Green was clearly the right call, and he was the guy that helped the Rockets kind of put this one away. So before we shut this thing down, Madison, your favorite moment from this game?
My favorite moment from this game.
I've got my favorite moment if you want me to go first.
Go first, Adam.
I gotta go with the Jeff Green dagger. I really thought the Rockets were gonna pull that one out. So I can't even call it a dagger now because like the Nuggets made that run to try to get back into it. But it felt like the dagger when he hit that three near the end. He hit that three and I was like, oh, that's it. Like they've got this now. They're pushed the lead to 9 or 10 or whatever it was. That's it. That's the moment. And so it really felt almost poetic in the way that Jeff Green was helping sink his old team, right? His former team that he won the title with. So I loved that moment. That was probably my favorite moment from this game. What about you?
Yeah, so one of the more memorable moments for me is the pass from Jalen Green down the stretch to Alperen Sengun with the and one finish. And you could see Alp doing this to Jalen, like, yeah, that's the mental, that's that next level stuff like that. And that's some of the growth that we want to see out of Jalen. And I just love that Alp is now being able to have people create shots for him now. He can be a play finisher. He doesn't have to be only the facilitator. Other people are creating offensive opportunities for him. So I really like that.
Absolutely. And then, shout out to just honorary mention, the one-legged Dirk fadeaways that Alp's added to his game now, because he's shooting these even when he doesn't have to fade. He's just shooting them one-legged now for whatever reason. He's just like, and if it's a rhythm thing, if that's how he hits the shots, then cool. Then more power to him, man. Alp was... at post game, I will say, one more little note before we wrap this one up. Post game, Alp was he was so surprised. He was like, I have to talk again, and I thought about telling him, I was like, hey man, if you stop playing so good, and we'll stop asking to talk to you. But if you play this well, you got to talk to media. And that was Fred's whole thing. At one point, Fred was getting ready to leave, and he was talking about. Alp said, Fred, go talk for me. And Fred said, nope, not me. I'm all good. I did mine. And I asked Fred, I was like, how many words in Turkish you know? And he goes, only the curse words so that I can cuss at Alp. So just, this team has this amazing vibe around it, this great camaraderie, this great chemistry. It really does start at the top with Ime Udoka, but it also has to do with the players, right? And they've accepted this. They've embraced the new identity. And this team really feels like they're about to, start something special, or that they've already started something special, but that they are going to, I think, far exceed maybe the expectations that they even had for themselves this season. But with that, Madison, you know the drill. Let everybody know where they can track you down at.
Yeah, you can find me at Madman Leaks on Twitters or X. Come talk Rockets with me.
That's going to do it for another edition of Locked On Rockets. As always, thank you so much for checking out the show. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing wherever you listen to your podcasts, or on YouTube, just search Locked On Rockets. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Okay, Alperen Sengun.
But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.
Alperen Sengun, always.